I'm nervous. I'll be honest.
Really?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, this is very cool.
Billy
Corgan's great.
rules. I hear nothing but great things about his new CD.
Yeah, it's getting very good reviews.
Oceania. And I'm saying CD because I got it in front of me as a CD. So I could say
real
that.
CD.
I got a real CD in front of me.
What is that?
Which is strange, right? You thought CDs would be around forever.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like the ultimate. All right, it's compact.
Right.
It's even in the name. And you just
Yeah, but I
pop it in the machine.
But I like albums because, the album cover art is lost now.
Remember what people were saying that whole thing? Well, that was really cassettes kind of put an end to that.
Vinyl record sales are up this year.
In this day and age, this is
real, amongst hipster fucking
Enough with
assholes.
vinyl records.
Hipsters.
In this
Stop
day and
it.
age, this is a giant picture.
Yeah.
Because now we're all
Giant.
looking at tiny little thumbnails and think, wow, look
Yeah.
at that amazing picture on my phone.
Do you get a pork pie hat with a fucking vinyl album? You hipster
I
shit
hate
fuck.
No, you
enough
just-
with
you just get-
vinyl.
I know,
better
right?
sound.
Oh, there he is.
Oh.
He's working his way in.
He's walking down the hall like a rock star.
Well,
Who,
yeah.
Roland?
Really. He's walking down the
Roland.
hall like
Hey,
fucking Billy
How you
Corgan
doing, man?
on the Opie and Anthony
Make
show.
yourself comfy. Thank you. Take a
What's up, Billy?
seat. Guys, like, what is this, travel day for you?
Yeah.
Going to L.A., I
Probably
hear.
got the same flight as Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy's going out. How you doing, man?
What is that, vodka?
Here we have this.
Vodka.
What?
Oh, man,
up,
great,
Billy?
because this garbage water they give us.
You gotta drink high pH.
Oh, high pH?
9.5 pH.
You got to tell me what
Are you
that
making money
does.
off this, hopefully?
What's that?
Are you making money off this?
No, no.
You
No,
got
I
to
just-
tell me what that does.
You buy us waters, and I can't take it on the planes.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Oh,
of course
oh.
not.
Okay.
What does high pH do?
I thought he was promoting a water.
If your system
Company.
gets too acidic, it makes you cranky, and it sort of
Really?
opens the way for viruses and stuff.
Then you know
So
what? I
if
should
high
drink a
pH,
lot of
it sort
this.
It's like your body runs better.
They are figuring out a lot of things to do to water. To make people buy, like, their water as opposed to another person's water.
You want me
Billy,
there or there?
Billy, I want to say that
That's cool.
you're a genius, and the reason is very simple. You were able to get at Billy on Twitter. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you get at Billy?
That's kind of rough.
There's a lot of Billies out there.
Well, there was an at Billy Corgan,
Right.
right? And so I wanted, but the guy who had at Billy Corgan wasn't named Billy Corgan.
And he wouldn't give it to you?
No, so
What an asshole. Jesus.
So Twitter has some sort of weird policy, so they said, okay, they made him at not Billy Corgan.
Right.
I don't get what that means.
Okay.
And then in exchange, they said, well, we'll give you at Billy, because it's something about they don't want
Yeah.
to give me what he had. So then
They changed his Twitter
at, not
account,
Billy Corgan.
but they wouldn't give you Billy Corgan.
No.
Isn't the name
Why?
dead now? No one can use it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do.
So they got me at Billy, but they actually said, this is cool, people
But you're
beg
the,
for these.
That's
you
an
know?
easy one,
but
yeah.
you're the number one Billy Corgan out there. I'm sure there's other Billy Corgans.
Well,
but
what's kind of weird is I got to imagine that a fan would go at Billy Corgan and not find me.
right.
Yeah.
But then I get everybody else going, you don't deserve at Billy. Like you're not Cher. Or
Do they
whatever.
bring up other Billies that are more
yeah,
deserving?
like Billy Idol,
Right.
Billy,
Billy
Zane,
Joel, maybe.
Billy
Billy
Holiday.
Joel, Billy, different spelling,
But you got at Billy.
I got at Billy.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
it really
that's
is.
pretty good.
But why
one.
can't they just give you the name? Somebody else I
That
know
doesn't
had
make
that
sense.
happen, and they kill the name. They said no one gets it. Stupid.
It didn't make any. Why did they turn the guy into at not Billy Corgan? That just seems so funny.
He's
Right.
probably like Billy Corgan, Chrysler Plymouth.
Yeah.
He runs that.
Right.
It's like, oh, really?
I mean, there are people in this country named Billy
No, I
Corgan.
know, but
so
you're the
if
num-
it was Billy Corgan, I'd say, okay, well, you got it first. You know?
Right.
But it's safe to say you're the biggest Billy Corgan, and when it comes to Twitter and the social media crap, you should be Billy Corgan.
I don't get it. And, well, here's a better one. Facebook kicked me off for not being Billy Corgan.
Wait, what? How does that work?
Somebody reported me, right,
Yeah.
and said, this is a fake Billy Corgan, and Facebook shut down my account.
But
Seized
you
or froze
are.
my account, and then sent me some bullshit thing saying, you got to prove who you are.
Oh,
and I'm
my
thinking,
God.
So that's why I said,
Screw it.
Here's a
and I mean,
video of me.
I know Sean Parker. I mean, I could call somebody,
Right.
right? And I thought,
But it was the
forget this.
principle.
I don't want. In fact, thanks for doing me a favor.
Right.
I got the
Wow,
hell
yeah.
off Facebook and said, "Give me the hell away from this because this
You
is
don't need it.
And then I go and look, and there's like 7 fake Billy Corgans pretending they're me.
That are still there?
Who are trying to pick up chicks, but they're still running. They're still running.
Well, their stock isn't doing well, so
No, they're
rejoice in that.
no. They had a bump up though. didn't
I just
they?
bought again. I fucking lost like $5,000, and I bought more back, and now it's dropping again.
Buying high.
I got my money back.
I could have bought a bunch of AOL like 94, 95, and my bandmates bought some, and I'm thinking, you guys are wasting your money.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of feel that same feeling, like maybe I should jump in now when
You
it's
never
devalued.
know.
'Cause they're not going anywhere.
I don't know.
That seems to be
you know
the
how you know they're not
consensus.
going anywhere? Because they're hanging out with the political campaigns. And the minute you start seeing that kind of backdoor stuff, they ain't going
Yeah.
anywhere
Well, let's
anytime
buy
soon.
Facebook today.
At a point, I don't know.
What is AOL
I'm all
worth
in with
now,
Apple.
though? Like Yahoo, they go like way up and then drop. Like I think they said a lot of those aren't.
Do you know what they
were.
bought in at?
It's got to be low.
$75 a share, maybe, is my memory. But I mean, that's so long ago. I think
Yeah.
it could have been
Wow, damn, man.
$7.50.
Who uses AOL at this point?
No, but there was that moment.
No,
where
I
it
know.
was
That
like,
was.
You know, where you go, okay. Like,
It was
Right.
internet training wheels. Like everybody had that at first. It was
Oh, the
all
Apple.
you knew.
We all could have bought Apple stock.
Yeah.
We'd be bloody rich.
Oh man.
It went down to $80 in 2008 when the fucking market shit the bed. It went down to $80.
And yeah,
That would have been nice.
Now you're talking
Billy,
touching on 600.
I want to say I'm so glad you're doing our show.
Oh, thank you.
There was a little misunderstanding. We don't have to get into, but we're
Yeah.
very happy you're here because
Yeah,
we're
that
all
was even all
massive
about.
fans.
oh, thank you. No, I'm happy to be here.
And I was sick all week, but I came back in just to say hi to you. 'cause-
Oh, thank you.
Just to make you sick.
Yeah.
Just to make you sick for your trip.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
What do you have in case I get
I'm
it?
good. It was sore throat, congestion, crap. You know,
Yeah,
normal
that
shit
wouldn't
for the
affect me
summer.
at all as a professional.
All right, you stay over there. I'm hearing nothing but good things about the new CD,
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Oceania.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it yet. I literally got my copy this morning.
Yeah, it's the first time I put out an album, I think, in 17 years that people like
Oh man.
right away. You know what I mean? Usually I get the 7 years later. Oh, that was actually pretty good. I don't know
grew
what my
on
problem
me.
was.
Right.
It grew on me. Yeah, it's like, thanks.
Why is that, you think? Is it because...
I don't know. Honestly, I don't... Believe me, if I knew what people were thinking at this point...
But you don't try to... do you try to write hits when you're putting an album together?
You know, back in the day, you knew you had to come up with that MTV type song,
Right.
But we never, sit. I mean, if you look at the hit songs we had, it wasn't like we sat there and went with the formula. We always tried to come up with something fresh,
Right.
that felt really exciting. I think hits usually means exciting.
Right.
So if we felt, oh, this is pretty exciting, it was when I tried to maybe be a little more conservative and kind of just do music I really liked. That's when it didn't go so well. So exciting seems to work for me. So.
But isn't that okay with you?
What's that?
When you were getting more experimental and stuff?
Yeah, it was fine by me, but it's it's kind of a weird thing. It's like
It's a weird
one day,
balance?
One day you're nobody, then you're a genius, then you're an idiot. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And as I've been saying to my friends, now I'm a genius again. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like I'm the same guy the whole time.
Right.
I wonder what that is though. That makes people like one thing that you do, and then just kind of not really
Believe me,
pay
if
attention to
if
the
they
other.
if they could quantify it in the music business, they would get rid of people like me because I'm too much of an X factor. You know, they don't like that. They
Right.
they don't know what you're gonna. All these other kids, they know what they're gonna say.
Right.
They line them up and they march like robots. I mean, people like me. I mean, who knows what I'm gonna say or do? And they that's too risky for them. in
Have
the
you
business.
always been like that? Or
Yeah.
Even
It's
at the beginning, when did you have
Oh,
to
yeah.
do a lot of compromising, or did you
No.
do it your way? Really?
No,
Wow.
no, we
that's
were lucky. But I mean, look, I'll give you an example. 89 for nobody playing, a college gig for $50.
Mm-hmm.
Interviewer, snobby kind of indie person. Who are you guys' influences? Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Cheap Trick. Guy laughs at me. Like, don't you realize that people don't like those bands? I said, we don't fucking care. That's what we like.
Right.
Oh, that's not cool. You know what I mean? So before anything, you guys aren't cool. This isn't cool. Don't like this. Now, of course, everybody loves
Right.
Ozzy.
Yeah.
Ozzy's great. Back then it was like people would snicker. It's like, why? He's great. Because we grew up in Chicago, rock radio was like, you love the Cars and you like Black Sabbath. You love Queen, you love Zeppelin. It wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Then you get out in the New Yorkie world and it's like, you're supposed to like this band, you're not supposed to like this band, and don't wear this T-shirt. It's just got so old.
Being too cool.
What bands did they expect you to say you liked at the time?
Well, it's
Do you
like
remember?
there's Sonic Youth would have been number one. You
Sure.
know? If you said you like Sonic Youth, then that meant
Sure.
You
Oh, these guys are cool.
yeah,
They like
and we
Sonic
love.
Youth.
But I'm saying we love Sonic Youth, but in their mind it was incompatible with like Sonic Youth and Led Zeppelin, and we
Right.
think
Can't
it's
like
kind of.
both.
But
Yeah.
of course, you get behind the scenes and you talk to Thurston Moore from Sonic Youth. What do you grow up listening to as a kid? Led Zeppelin. I mean, just like everybody else.
Van Halen. Like Kurt Cobain, Van Halen, Cheap Trick,
Absolutely.
Boston, I believe. Trying to remember
I
some
mean,
of the other
Teen
bands.
Spirit is basically more than a feeling.
That's what a lot
In fact,
of people say.
I saw
Yeah.
Nirvana. I saw Nirvana at their absolute peak. Nevermind, playing in Japan, and Kurt started playing More Than a Feeling.
Oh man, and then
You know,
when-
and even sang "More Than a Feeling" and kind of laughed, and then they went into Teen Spirit. You know?
Wow.
shit, yeah.
I mean, he knew. It's not like he, you know.
Right. He loved classic rock.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
was
who
his
doesn't? It's-
big influences.
Yeah.
Did you guys
growing
get
up.
treated well by the critics, or did they douche you?
No.
No, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because we got sort of a so-so review in Rolling Stone. The two biggest albums I ever had, Siamese Dream and Melancholy, bad reviews in Rolling Stone. So this is like good luck now because I got another bad review in Rolling Stone.
did you?
Meanwhile, across the board, everywhere else, great album, best album in 15
No,
years.
people
blah,
are
blah, blah.
talking about this album.
Yeah, I'm saying.
And the two you just mentioned
So-
were amazing albums.
Yeah.
I'll say it for you.
Thank you.
Unbelievable
Yeah,
albums.
no, got bad
Even the
review-
deep tracks.
Got bad reviews then.
Doesn't Rolling Stone, they really
Weird.
are snobby, and they try to be too hip, and I just think they stink. I think it's the most overrated magazine ever.
I think
is Rolling Stone.
I think they try to hate things. You know, try to find something wrong with things instead of just letting
Yeah,
it
I mean,
be
look,
sometimes.
if it was the critics only, I wouldn't be here. You know, fans have been amazing. They're difficult in their own way, but I appreciate the relationship that they want you to bring the best you got.
Right.
At least with the fan, if you bring the best you got, they'll show up.
Right.
The critics will think of some freaking weird reason why somebody shouldn't listen to you.
But you seem like a guy that wouldn't pay attention to the critics. Is that
I
true?
really don't, but at the same time, it's like, you know, it's a little weird to put out an album that you know is really good, see you get poor reviews from particular magazines who have a bone to pick, God knows why, and then 15 years later they're trying to get you to interview about the album that they panned back in the day because it's become a classic. You know what I mean? See, it's like a weird Dostoevsky movie or something, you know? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, talk about the thing we didn't like then, and now we're going to talk about the thing we don't like now, and,
Right.
and it gets sort of surreal.
Yeah.
I think I have a good sense of what it is, but I don't know. I wouldn't be here if I had didn't have some ability, and the critical part of whether or not you match up at any given time with what they think is, I don't think that has anything to do with what people think.
Right, right.
Did you get screwed over on your first album? Like every band talks about how they had to give away everything. Or...
No, well, we signed one of those kind of record deals, but that was everybody.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
everybody. So there was nothing novel about that. But where we got lucky was they said they didn't think we could sell records on a major label, so they put us on. They had an indie imprint in New York called Caroline, which Hole was on, and a few other Rob Zombie, White Zombie was on. So it was a cool label, and they probably thought we were going to sell about 30,000 records. We sold 400,000.
Shit.
So by the time they bumped us up to the major label, they kind of couldn't mess with me, you know.
Oh man, so
You know what I mean? I had the leverage of the
Right.
moment,
Right.
and then every time they would try to mess with me, we would sell more records. So
Wow.
we kind of outran that Reaper, you know.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, you actually had a track record to go in there with instead of.
Yeah, because there was an instance where they called me in for a meeting around '92. Nevermind was huge, Pearl Jam was huge, and they said they wanted to reissue our first album and kind of try to repump it up through the major system, bring it up to the major label, and I said no. And you should just, I mean, jaws drop. Like, who's this kid to say no?
Right.
And I said it's not the right record. We made this kind of cool indie record. It wasn't gonna fit in radio.
What was the name of that?
That was Gish. Yeah.
Oh, right, of course.
Now, were you playing the type of music that you were writing, especially in the '90s? Were you playing that in the '80s somewhere? Were you like?
No, our song kind of evolved, you know, because we were taking kind of UK influences, and then what was happening out of Seattle. There were bands out of Minneapolis that were playing kind of heavy. You just kind of pick up things. That's what I'm saying. When I heard grunge out of Seattle, I thought, oh, this is classic rock.
Oh, okay.
You know, these guys had listened to the same stuff that I was listening to, you know.
I'm just wondering if you had to sit there and literally wait for the music scene to change from that '80s hair band thing to what it became in the '90s, and you kind of had to wait that out. Or...
Nobody thought like bands like Nirvana were
obviously,
going to
yeah.
sell what they were going to.
Of
I mean,
course not.
nobody.
You got to remember, You're right.
So you weren't trying to maybe go with what was popular and successful at the time.
Our thing was like, can you sell out a place like the Roseland here in New York or the Aragon in Chicago? That's what the biggest alternative. That's 4,000 people.
Right.
If you could sell those places out, you're like, wow,
Huge.
We're huge. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, we're going to sell at the Enormo Dome. You thought that was never going to happen. MTV was playing alternative videos on Sunday night, 120 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, we got one video spin on our first album. One. Wow. And the funny thing about that was Anthony Kiedis from the Chili Peppers saw that one airing, and that's how we ended up opening for the Chili Peppers on their tour.
I saw that at Roseland. Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking like small windows of opportunity.
Sure. Yeah, Ant talks about seeing you guys, Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Pearl Jam, yeah,
and Pearl Jam at Roseland.
Yeah, it was like
way before any of the
huge.
Red Hot Chili Peppers definitely had their fan base by then.
Yeah, you guys came out. No one really even knew who you were at the time.
Yeah.
And, everybody was obviously waiting for the Chili Peppers. It was you guys had just hit the scene. And I remember me knowing everything about music. I'm like, who are these guys? And then, of course, you blow up.
You know what I remember
I'm
about that
worst.
show? Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson were at that show.
Oh,
That's what I remember
really?
about that.
Really?
You know, it was like the sort of first celebrity encounters. Like, oh my God, it's Tommy Lee. You know?
Were they having sex in front of you?
No. I mean, this is. They were perfectly behaved.
Yeah. Well, so you're touring?
Fall,
album,
probably, yeah. We figured it would take a while for people to kind of. The album's ahead of what our expectations were, which is great. So, but if you're going to put out an album, you're going to say, listen to the album, and we're going to go play the album in total live. You know, it's going to take a while for people to get into it.
Yeah.
How fast do you block people on Twitter? Or are you a guy who will never block anybody?
You got one chance.
Oh, good.
That's it.
Yeah,
if you want to say dumb stuff, I just block you. I just don't want that negativity.
Right.
I just don't get that. You know what I mean? I don't get that. I don't feel like I have a responsibility to put up with the negativity. Now, people who will ask,
They feel like you do.
that's their problem.
I mean, I agree
But the
with
funny
you.
thing is fans will ask really interesting questions, and I'll respond.
Right.
But I mean, to me, this is my rules for the internet. If you walk up and say something to me that you can't walk up and say to me on the street,
oh man,
you walk up and say that to me on the street, I'm gonna knock you out. That's it. So as far as I'm concerned, same rules. How the internet somehow changes that dynamic where you want to be rude, because it's just rude. So you want to be rude, that's fine. Go be rude with somebody who doesn't care.
And then they get pissed off, and like maybe one of their friends will retweet them to you and say,
Oh, yeah, I get
could
all
you unblock him? You know what? Then that motherfucker gets blocked. I'm not going to sit
gotta
there.
take out the whole
while
village.
He's being the guy's lawyer. Yeah,
Right.
He's
It's
pontificating.
It's better to just take out the whole village.
If you're living on the oxygen of whether or not somebody's blocked you, you ain't got a lot going on anyway.
Might want to look at your
I mean,
own
at least
life.
I turn around in my beautiful house and my dogs and my cats and my friends and my guitars. You know, I turn around to something substantive. You turn around, you're looking at nothing.
Right.
Well, okay, then it means a lot. I guess.
Probably the unfinished basement.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Mom's upstairs screaming. You know.
Right. Yeah.
But they never say stuff like that in person. There's just this cunty undertone sometimes, and then the fake names. It drives me fucking crazy. It's like they attack a performer.
Very anonymous,
They don't
yeah.
just go on as who they are and say something that they would say when they met you.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating.
I'm 6'4", 220, something like that. I mean, it's amazing how much doesn't get said to me in person. You know,
Well, people don't have that celebrity boundary, because sometimes people forget that celebrities are still people and will still react like men.
Hey, I grew up lower middle class, working class, my whole family immigrants, and everybody, probably 90% of the people listening to you understand what I mean. You grew up in that, it's the rules of the neighborhood. That's it. I don't care. You can call it whatever you want, social media, whatever. It's the rules of the neighborhood. You want to mess? Okay, let's go. But I learned pretty early on you don't go toe to toe, because that's the worst thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's like coming off Olympus to fight a flea, you know,
Yeah.
because they got no power, and then you start getting haters gonna hate, It's like, thanks guys, thanks for the deep philosophy. Haters gonna hate.
No, but what he taught me, the best thing to do, send them, because they're following you, so you send them a private message that's horrible, and then block them.
But I mean, it's got to be completely
brutal.
horrible. Just I brutalize
A private message.
the person and then block them so they can't even answer me
I
back.
have to tell you though, probably about 5-6 times, somebody said something where it wasn't just say overtly mean, but they were being rude, and I would send them a private message, and I would say, you know, what you're saying is not really nice or not cool, and every time the person would apologize. Every time. Because it's attention they want. They're just saying a thing to get attention. It's like if I sit here and just poke you, you know what I mean, until you get provoked. You know? That's what they want. They just want attention. I get it, but I just can't deal with the negativity. To me, that part of the internet's just like, that's...
You think that'll change eventually?
You know what I think will happen? They'll either get such sophisticated systems where you can, you know, decide what you want to filter. Like they'll have a system where it'll figure it out for you,
right? And
it'll just block people, and then it'll change because you know you're not going to get through, or you're going to have to be so weird, like, you know, hey Corgan, you know. Tupperware isn't good enough for you, you know what I mean? It'll be so lame. You'll be like, what? You know, they'll have to try to figure something out to bust the system. Because ultimately, those people, you know, the Facebooks, so they want you there. They want you looking at their ads or whatever they're going to commoditize their stuff at. They don't want you getting off that site because some jerk in, you know, Cleveland's got to say something.
Right.
They want you there. Once they figure out the filtering and all that stuff, forget about it.
Well, the positive side, it makes it easier for you guys to promote yourselves.
I don't know. We were one of the first bands to really jump on the internet and see the potential in creating new fan relationships, and I think it's been a mixed blessing for us. I mean, we had 30,000 people in our chat room, probably around like late '90s. It's a pretty big number. I mean, that's a big number now.
Yeah, that's huge.
But we found ratio-wise about 100 to 1.
Really?
100 Facebook fans, or back in the day, MySpace fans, 1 sale.
Wow.
100 to 1. So I don't know why I got to spend my time talking to the 99 that ain't going to buy shit, do nothing but complain, to deal with the one person who probably doesn't like the negativity, is going to buy anyway,
right,
and probably wants you to be more dignified.
So why were those guys involved, the 99, you think?
I don't know.
It is an attention thing. I think people like you're in the public eye. I think people like that they're involved with you in some way, shape, or form.
So we take more of a kind of a dignified approach, you know, like we're not slavishly begging and stuff like that. And we've seen our sort of core fan base grow because it's sort of more of a community to be a part of as opposed to a constant shill.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of stuff I don't promote. I probably should, just out of fidelity. I didn't promote today like I probably should have. But then if it goes well, I might say, oh, thanks, to you guys. It was cool. Thanks for having me on. But I don't feel like I gotta be Bieber land, right. Push my perfume and hey, it was amazing to be on Opie and Anthony today. Oh, you know what I mean? Let's call that. It's funny. To me that's not why people like you guys, and that's not why they like people like me. It's they don't want to feel that.
It's funny you bring him up. What do you think of someone like Justin Bieber? I mean, he's not that talented for the following he has.
I think he's fairly talented for his age. Yeah, but look, there's always going to be a Justin Bieber, a Donny Osmond. It's not those.
So you don't think he's going to have longevity, right?
That's hard to say.
Really?
Well, look, I don't know what they used to call it, Q rating. Who the public knows, right? A kid like Bieber, I mean, he might be worth 10 times more on the reality show. 10 years from now, or he starts a men's hair care line. That's the world we live in now. Music is just the thing they kind of do to make money all these other ways. I mean, I went one time with my nieces, of course, are Bieber crazy, and there's like 7 different Bieber dolls. 7.
Oh, shit.
Justin in the green jacket, Justin in the blue jacket.
But your talent blows his away. So how does that make you feel?
It doesn't bother me. To me, it's like different businesses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you guys know his the guys out there who just do like whatever to whatever.
Well, his voice is weak, and he's just he's writing pop songs that almost anyone could be singing and writing.
I wouldn't disagree, but I think to me it's not. That's the part of the business that's like a no-brainer. Just like making like the bad teen movie or something. It's like it's gonna be there, right?
Right.
It's all the other stuff that pretends to be something, and the record business rolls it out and tries to get you to buy inauthentic things, pretending to be authentic.
Right.
And why do they pretend for it to be authentic? Because the money's in the authenticity. So then they treat people like me who are real bad because they can't control me and they can't get me to crank out a hit every time they stick a needle in my back. You know what I mean? That's the part that they're never going to understand. The Jimi Hendrixes of the world and the John Lennons, those are the people that sell a tremendous amount of records. And the public loves on some intrinsic level, even if they don't always agree with them. Like John Lennon was incredibly political and Bob Marley had his politics. But the public loves them because they're just themselves,
Right.
and they're never going to figure that out. Because you can't control a Jimi Hendrix, a Bob Marley. You know what I mean?
Right.
Jimi Hendrix was doing stuff that we still can't figure out. Still.
And for that time,
years.
wow.
When they push out these teen idols,
Crazy.
is it more like because guys like Hendrix or Lennon won't sell to that, like your nieces, like that demo where there's a lot of money, but those great artists aren't going to sell to that demo, so they got to find something to cover it.
They're easily influenced, it seems like.
I would say, look, I love the Beatles when I was a little boy, like starting at 5 years old.
Yeah.
Beatles blew my mind. I'm sorry, but, and especially, I mean, I meet all these executives, they all got kids. I don't understand why they wouldn't want to make music that would, I mean, yes, be exciting, but music that doesn't feel weird, right? To me, and I don't mean to criticize them this way, but I'm criticizing the whole genre. When you've got like teens singing about things that teens probably shouldn't be singing about, that does affect people, families, kids' perceptions. I know moms who got teenage daughters that are, Bieber fever, and they got to kind of wrestle with the themes because the kids are attracted, but you know what I mean? And I'm not saying an artist like Bieber should be controlled, but at some point, somebody's got to make a decision there to put that stuff out.
Right.
And they got no problem looking the other way when he's singing lyrics that are, probably age inappropriate, right? And that does affect American families, the way families have to deal with their information. And that is the difference between Donnie and Marie or Sean Cassidy and this generation.
Right.
This generation has no problem being overtly sexual in their music to kids that probably shouldn't be listening to that at that point.
They still don't know what their penises do.
Well, yeah, hopefully, and
Exactly.
that's where it gets a little queasy, and especially the young girls who are 14, 15, they're rolling them out with like low cut tops. I mean, that sends kids are influenced by that, and that the record business does have a responsibility to not sort of exploit that. I mean, look, you want to exploit me as a male, and roll some chick out in her 20s or 40s, fine. But the kids, I find that really queasy.
Yeah,
the way they sexualize the kids to sell records, I
Right.
think that's messed up.
When there's so much money for the taking, though, I mean, you can't. I don't think ethics has ever won out over
Hey,
cash.
hey, if somebody came in here today and say, "Hey, if you guys light yourself on fire, your ratings are going to go up," or we'll give you $1 million.
Flame on!
Yeah, you'd be
as long
surprised.
as long as you wear the Facebook T-shirt, we'll give you $1 million. I'm saying this.
I'm not gonna
Right.
lie to you. We've been guilty of that over the years.
Okay, but I'm saying-
we've matured as a radio show, but we did the edgy, outrageous shit, knowing that it was the easiest way to get more people listening.
Hey, I've done dumb stuff too, but the point is, at some point, if you have a place of responsibility, you have to wrestle with those moral
Right.
obligations. To me, there are people knowingly marching things out
Right.
past that line because there's a business advantage. I have a problem with that. I don't think it's a provocative thing I'm saying. I mean, I think it's an age-old argument.
No, I get it. Our philosophy back in the day, especially, we would do these really over-the-top edgy shit to bring you to the show, and then hopefully the day-by-day show would keep you there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it was hard to get people to listen to you. So how do you do that? You do something maybe a little shocking. They're like, oh, you hear what Opie and Anthony did today? And then you listen to the show and realize, oh, they're not just doing shocking stuff. They're actually talking about real stuff. And they're also hopefully funny.
I think the business is changing for all of us where we can be qualitative. That's what I'm saying. I would say to a record executive, if you make, I don't want to say wholesome because I'm a rock and roll guy, but I think you can make music that's, let's say, got a little bit more depth, that's going to last, that you're not embarrassed to pay, you're not in the car kind of wincing.
Right.
Listening to a 15-year-old sing about being in the club. Right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You think it's all relative, though? Because when you look at, like, Elvis or the Beatles, who are iconic now, but they were considered, especially Elvis, like, obscene.
Right.
At one time, like when Elvis came out, they would, obviously they would film him from the waist up. And the Beatles, by a lot of older generation people at that time, were not considered... They were considered like terrible for people under a certain age. So I wonder if it's all relative. And it just kind of it all advances.
Well, the Beatles were singing about I want to hold your hand.
Look, there's a long tradition of rock and roll, like Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire. Hello, right? Okay. The point is it sort of in your face, and I think now we're in a in your face culture.
Yeah.
It's just in your. I mean, it's inescapable.
Right.
And so, if I'm not saying you're saying this, but if the argument is like, well, it's just the way that it is, I think that's when cultures like collapse. You know what I mean? Because then it's anything goes. Like I've been saying for a couple years, you will see a porn mainstream pop girl who does porn. That will be the next marketing gag. I guarantee it. You will see that.
Wow.
You will see a mainstream 20-something girl, maybe even late teens because it's legal, who does porn and does pop music. You will see that because the marketing opportunity is just too rich.
Wow.
Well,
man.
like Paris Hilton got famous from a porn. I didn't Kardashian get famous from doing a porn.
That's
So
the
yeah,
only
that's,
reason she's
that's
famous.
certainly can happen.
Yeah.
But in those cases, there was quality there.
Oh, the porn, you mean? Yeah.
There was some quality there.
I think Paris's was great. I got to be honest.
I'm not going to complain about the films. They were terrific.
Yeah, I really did enjoy
But then
Paris's.
to make them like incredibly famous just because of that, I just
Can you
will never
imagine going back
understand
in a
that.
time machine? Okay, you
Yeah.
know, we're not in our 20s, right? Imagine going back in a time machine 30 years ago and say, hey, someday people will make porn and they will become mainstream celebrities in America.
because they made porn.
You'd never
I mean,
believe it.
you would
Unbelievable.
never.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
It's unbelievable.
Once it goes to anything goes, then where do we? There is no line, right?
Right.
And it can't be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, there's no line, so that's the way it is. That's what I mean. Like when we're talking about internet discourse. Well, you know how many times I've had some guy I've hired to run my internet site tell me, well, that's just the way that it is. It's like,
No.
and I'm paying for it. I'm paying for these people to tell me I don't have
Right.
quality. It's like, let somebody else do it for free. You know.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. Ugh.
I think if I went back in time, what would be most amazing to me is the amount of energy and time I spend on my phone. Like I literally, if I leave my house and I don't have my phone, I panic. I feel like I'm not connected. And I think that's the attraction to like people in our age group, at least, is you can't believe all the information you can get immediately. Like when I was fucking 18, 19 years old, you went out and that was it.
Yeah, we talked to people.
That's the amazing part to me is
We got to talk to people.
I actually will go for a walk and I will turn my phone off so that I will actually look and go, oh, there's a tree.
Just shit you took for granted growing up.
I
don't
mean,
wanna
seriously,
Instagram
I
it?
have to, and of course, 5 minutes and I have that impulse like,
Yeah.
and like, oh no, the phone's, I mean, that's ridiculous.
And the sad part is, it's all just nonsense. And then you do turn your phone on, you're like, oh, there's nothing here, really.
Yeah, what am I looking for?
Yeah, Twitter,
You know?
Facebook, this, that. You go to like
Right.
your 5 or 6 points and it's like
Right.
it's the same shit.
Over and over again.
I
People
remember
are
it was-
refreshing right now as they speak to us.
Wasn't it? It was rude for a while to use your cell phone during dinner and stuff. Now it just seems like that's
That's
gone
acceptable.
too.
I see the new thing, which is you kind of don't check your phone for 20, and then when the other person checks the phone, then you get to check your phone. It's sort of like it's sort of like, okay, well, we have our little phone minute, and then you put your phone back down.
Put the phone back down. Talk, or if somebody gets up to go to the bathroom, obviously grab your
that's
phone.
that's a no-brainer.
What are
Break-
we
full
What are
time
we
to check.
looking for?
Yeah.
Can you answer that question? What are we looking
What
for?
is
Because
that?
you decide you want to be with this person, you go to dinner, so it's like that could be a nice moment, and you could talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
But then you feel like you have to see if there's something better on your
I
phone.
think
never-
we're missing something.
Yeah, there's
So
never any giant
strange.
revelation on there that's like, oh, I'm so glad I
Right,
looked.
right.
It's just always
And
the
we're all
same
guilty of it. I
nonsense.
mean-
fucking potato chips is
But
what it is.
it's new though. That's what it is. Like again, someone who's 19 might because he grew up with that. But I'm 43, so it's fucking like I can't believe that it's there. I can't believe I can just open my phone
You get
and
whatever
look
you
at
want.
text messages and like it's still very new to me. I was 23 or 24 before I ever sent a text message.
Right.
Imagine where it's going to be in 10 years.
It will just be silent. We'll just do it without
It'll be like
actually holding your
Obi-Wan,
phone.
like, the Princess Leia will come up
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you'll be
yeah.
able to talk to your girlfriend 3D. You
That's
know?
what's scary. It just keeps advancing.
Have you heard about the new thing where they're putting bands on with holograms?
yeah,
Oh yeah, they did it with Tupac.
But that's just the beginning.
Yeah, it's going to be every band. you can
Every
imagine.
band ever is going to now go on tour in hologram form.
Right.
And whoever owns the rights to that
Absolutely.
band is going to make now a fortune on touring.
And then you're going to get like Tupac with Janis Joplin. You know what I mean? You're going to get stuff like you're like,
that
what?
would never happen.
Yeah.
And imagine a band that's been gone or dead for years being like the #1 grossing band on tour that year. That would just be the oddest thing.
Look at it. The opportunity for any band to become as big as, say, like the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, once those bands are gone, and can never come back in any form, right? Well, I'm sorry, if you put the Beatles on in hologram form, they're probably going to be one of the top grossing bands out there.
Right.
And you don't have, there's no temperaments in the back over the deli tray, temper tantrums.
Yeah.
You know, nobody to deal with. It's just like, press the switch and the holograms will come and,
I would go in a second.
I would see the Beatles like that in quality hologram
I hate
form.
to say it.
Yeah,
I
that
never
would
got to
be-
see Nirvana, one of my favorite bands
Yeah.
of the last 20
Somebody asked me the other day if we'd played with Nirvana. We played with Nirvana one time in Boston, and it was not sold out.
Really?
Yeah,
What year was that?
Maybe 91.
Although everyone in Boston that probably says they were there, the place would be overflowing.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, I saw him. Yeah.
How big was the venue?
About 1,000.
Were you close to Kurt?
You know, it was weird because I'd gone out with Courtney before.
Right.
So, you know, we kind of reached a point where there was no weirdness. You know what I mean? It was like, we're cool.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like, you know, he needed me to help him. Because sometimes she'd open for us, so he'd be with her, and so, you know, we'd make sure he was taken care of, and we'd have to put extra security because obviously everybody wanted to get to him, and so I know he appreciated that there was a respect level there. It wasn't weird by the end.
Did you ever have to talk about it, or it was just kind of something that worked itself out?
You know, it's one of those weird things like, hey, you know, hey, I used to be with your wife, hey, you know, I don't know. It's the same for any guy.
Right.
You know? It's like,
Yeah, that's
You get
odd.
to hear any of those cassettes he left behind?
no.
Where are they? Because he was always like just fiddling and recording stuff on cassettes and
He
throwing
was so
them in.
he was so brilliant. I mean, you know, he doesn't need me to he doesn't need me to sing his praises, you know.
Yeah.
But I think he was the real deal. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And we all knew it. I mean, you know, I mean, if I could explain at the time, it was a bit like the high school quarterback. You know what I mean? You look and you go like, this guy's looks great, sings great, amazing songwriter. It's like, this is kind of unfair, you know?
Right.
And of course, everybody gravitated to him. And of course, you know, the time you're jealous and, oh, it's not this and I want to be that and all that. And then when the guy's gone, you're like, wow, I wish that guy was still around.
Right.
Because that guy got stuff done, you
Yeah.
know? And now that I look back, you know, we weren't as powerful as a generation without him. And then all the crap that came and the posers that came afterwards. I mean, that's why you need guys like that to kind of beat that back down. I can't imagine what he would say to this world today as far as what's happened with music.
Right.
You know, I'm more negotiable in that way. I'm willing to kind of work with things. I kind of like pop music. It's all fine and dumb to me. But a guy like that would have taken it on.
Sure.
I don't know. Did you hear Lennon? They released an audio of a Rolling. I might have been a Rolling Stone interview he did when he was 40. And he goes, you know, I'm 40 now. I've changed a lot of the way I feel, and it's like it really always wasn't the establishment. Sometimes it was me, and like it
I
was
like how
really
you're putting
weird.
the inflection on without the accent.
Yeah, because I know I try to give the message without, you know, because I would have just, instead of focusing on the horrible accent.
Can't you do the Liverpudlian?
I really
Liverpudlian.
can, but people can't see. But my hand motion, I mean, some would say, would be exactly like Lennon's in a discussion of this sort.
I've grown up.
But he said it was. Yeah, I should have just done like a really bad Irish accent. But he was kind of changing and becoming like a regular 40-year-old. Like, even guys like that, I was amazed to hear that interview, kind of come around and go
Changing his ways a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's hard to say, but look, even in his 40s, which unfortunately is when John Lennon died, he was still a great musician. And even then, even if the message changes through the mouth, the music affects things, you know. And Generation X, we don't have as much strength as we should have had. Some people died, some people got high and never came back, you know. So it's been a shame because there were a lot of great voices, you know. I didn't necessarily like everybody, but I respected that there were a lot of great voices.
Do you have a different look on things? Like, will you listen to some of the music you wrote early on and go like, ugh? Or do you look at everything like, hey, that was pretty good?
No, there's definitely some cringe moments.
Yeah.
But you kind of think, well, you know, you knew what you were thinking, and
At
you
the
see
time,
where
right.
it kind of like, because you get caught up in dumb stuff. You know, like we used to think like we had to be heavier, and part of that was we were playing in front of these big crowds, and you want everybody to jump up and down. So the amount of energy we spent making certain songs, which aren't great songs, you know, they good energy, but now I look back, I think I could have done something better if I wasn't so obsessed with trying to get the crowd to jump up and down. Yeah.
Is it embarrassing to do a music
like a
video?
mindset.
Whenever I see a music video, I'm always amazed. Like you see a performer singing, and it's like they have to go, "Now cut, do it again," and everybody's watching. Is that hard to do? Because I would be horrified to do
I always
that.
felt a bit weird about it, which I think is why in a lot of videos, and we started with the record label, why a lot of videos don't have that sort of just, you know, here's the band performing in the parking lot stuff. We tried to figure out ways to not do so much singing, because I always felt that if it wasn't the right thing, it came across as inauthentic, and I thought that was sort of not who we were. It's and let me tell you, it's a little weird. You know, they roll the tape and you're standing there like singing, and then it's like beep, and then everyone runs around, the guy's doing this, and you're standing there like
waiting to rock again.
To rock again.
Oh man.
The trick is you got to sing like you were singing the song. You know what I mean? You just gonna go with your mouth open.
You gotta really
you
sing.
sing it, so at least you're singing it.
You got to see the veins in your neck, or it's not.
Yeah, there's got to be
happening.
some kind of
Yeah.
emotion coming from you, because I think that's sort of what people feel or want to see
Yeah.
coming through. If you're just mouthing, then you're really just acting. You know.
Yeah, we got to get Billy out of here in a couple minutes. You're going to L.A., right?
Yep.
And we haven't even talked about the new record.
Oh, that's okay.
You sure?
Jesus.
You got to promote a little bit. Just tell us a little bit about the new record.
I think we were releasing one song at a time, and it was going okay, and I'd said I don't want to do albums anymore. Typical. And then I thought, you know what, we just need to make a really great record and get everybody back on point, including us. And so, the funny thing has been how people are shocked that I made a great record.
Why is I don't get that.
Because if the mainstream, whatever that consciousness assumes that everything an artist does, you want to be that level. Mm-hmm. And when you've made a lot of money and you've had a lot of success, I mean, you saw it with Bruce Springsteen, Neil Young, some of the guys I really respect. There comes a point where it's like, not every album has to be the orgasmic, here it is, and the starship, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just want to make music that you feel strongly about. And so when I say that, well, you didn't feel strongly about your old work? He's like, no, we were trying to reach people. And so we found something that we felt strongly about to reach people. But some music just needs to be introspective. Some music just needs to be weird, just to kind of figure some other stuff out. So this is the first album I made in a long time where I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on that level. And it's like people are like, oh, you cry, like I climbed out of some grave or something. Meanwhile, I've been here the whole time. I've been putting out albums every couple of years. So it feels good. I'm happy. It's nice to see people happy around us for a change, and it's been a while. And we're just kind of going with that for the moment.
Yeah, you're looking forward to touring?
It'll be interesting because we're going to play the whole album in sequence, and we hired Sean Evans, who's been working with Roger Waters on The Wall, live staging.
Jesus.
Like I just saw The Wall in Chicago at Wrigley Field, 420-foot wall, on the outfield. It was insane. I mean, 42 projectors. It's like only Roger Waters could pull out, the Flying Pig and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, we wish we were that lucky, but we're going to do something where, at least you can experience the album played live, and then there'll be sort of a set of visuals to go with it. So it'll be more of an experiential thing, kind of like back in the day.
Yeah,
I mean, back in the 70s day before my day.
Right.
What's your favorite Sabbath record?
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath,
cool.
I think that's the difference between just Sabbath being a great rock and roll band and Sabbath being an incredible artistic, creative band. That record's just so dark and crazy and weird, and you know what I mean. I always love Volume 4. I don't know if you know that album. Sure. It's kind of got a really weird sound. And I remember talking to Tony Iommi once in the studio, and I said, "What was going on with Volume 4? What a weird sound." He was like, "Yeah." See, now there's the accent. Yeah. It goes up at the end. Yeah. And he said like something along the lines like because it was they were working in L.A. in some house, and because it was L.A., the drug dealer would just stop by every day.
He probably knew it was like it's a good place to. Yeah.
He's like, it's the drug dealer. And he's like, yeah, it's really crazy. It's like, but it's like, as a fan, you're listening, oh, this record's so dark and weird. I wonder what they're, there's a kid like upside down crosses Satan. And he's like, oh yeah, the drug dealer was coming by every day.
Came by, and that's the only reason.
Every Sabbath record, every song on the record couldn't go on to any other album. I think that was there's nothing on Master Reality that belongs on Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, or from Sabotage to. There's just nothing that should go on another record.
Yeah, and actually, I just got some sort of weird from Japan, like perfect. I think it's called SACD. It's like super high mastered of Mob Rules, because I love Sabbath with Dio too. Sure. I mean, sound unbelievable. I mean,
Dio.
And I got to meet Dio once and talk to him for 45 minutes. That was incredible.
Yeah, he came on the show once. He's just a fucking great guy. He was fantastic,
really was.
And that voice of his was just.
And then you
amazing.
go, wait, he's 70.
That
last tour he was
he was 70.
Yeah.
He was born like in the early 40s.
Jesus Christ.
So when he was on that last set of touring he was doing Sabbath, he was in his 70s.
Holy shit,
man!
And you're like, wow.
I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah,
It's still hitting every note.
Yeah, he had one of those friggin' rock and roll voices.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Billy, what a great conversation. I like this a lot. I think we got to get you out of here because you got to go to L.A.
Does that sound wrong?
What?
We got to get you out of here so you go to L.A. That just sounds so wrong.
I'm sorry.
It's like you guys are condemning me.
We got a guitar in the corner and everything.
Go to L.A.
We wanted you to play, but
I
know you're a busy man, and we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And good luck with you're not going to need the luck, but Oceania.
We do need the luck, honestly.
You think?
It's a really weird atmosphere,
Right.
I mean, look, if you're competing against people you respect grudgingly, it's one thing. But when you're competing against a bunch of robots, I mean, it's robot land out there.
Right. Yeah.
And it's shocking to me because alternative culture was always like, well, there's all that, and then there's us.
Right.
And then when the Stepford Wives took over alternative music, it got, it's weird. It's like you're looking around like, what happened to that kind of vibe?
Right.
You just don't fit in our. We'll play all your old music, but you just don't fit in our demographic now. You're not heavy enough. You're not this enough. And then you listen to these bands, and it's like, who are these people? Right. You don't even know what they think. You don't know what they feel. You don't know what they look like. I mean, it's just sort of like this blur of people.
Right.
And they just keep running them out there with heavy names like Thor Hammer and Hammer Thor, and, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, just keep running them out here. You've
been around.
I'm just like, okay, I'm still here.
You've been around long enough to see the whole thing change.
Yeah,
a few times.
I get the feeling though, like Rush just put out a new album, right?
People are praising that album.
Okay, biggest first week in Canada they've ever had.
Really?
Okay, so that tells you something. People are kind of figuring it out. You know what? Like, I'd rather have Rush around. You know what I mean? Now, they made a great album.
Than Thor.
But hey, I'd rather have a Rush around than all these other people. I think people are starting to figure that out.
Right.
Because don't forget, Hope I Die Before I Get Old. There was a point where you weren't supposed to be old and rock. But hey, I'll go see The Who any day. I'll take The Who at 80. Over just about anybody.
Right.
Because they're going to give you something. I remember when they played at the 2001 9/11 memorial, and people were like, because that's what you need in those moments. You need real music.
Right.
And that's the weird thing for me, because economy's bad. A lot of people are struggling. They need real music right now.
Right.
And people like us aren't perfect.
It's not.
Like I did an interview with Geddy Lee yesterday, and the guy said, it was kind of like a co-interview, and the guy said, you both have unique voices, And Geddy Lee goes, nobody wants our voices. Because we both have weird voices, right?
Right.
But that's part of, Rush being weird and different, and Geddy's weird voice and my weird voice. That's kind of what people like, because you're real. It's like,
and you know it when you hear it. You know who it is.
I call it unique, not weird.
Okay, great. But the point is, but the point is that maybe we're starting to figure out that the unique quality is the thing that really makes the difference.
Right.
Because you can't manufacture people like me, you know what I mean? And maybe you don't want to. But, I mean, okay, how many Eddie Vedder clones have they marched out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's been a few over the years.
And I'm not a big Vedder fan, but at least he's Eddie Vedder. You know what I mean? You know who he is. You know what he's about. Okay, well, okay, great. These other people, I don't know what they think. They might be from Mars for all I know.
They don't know what they're thinking.
Exactly.
We're never going to hear an auto-tuned Billy Corgan.
No, actually, I refuse to use autotune in the studio.
No shit.
Good. Believe me, there's times where it's like it would be so much easier, and I got to get home, and I just go back out and sing it again.
Right.
Because I just don't want to be that guy.
Little flat on that last line there. Fuck yeah! Can't you just run it through a machine? No.
You brought up Rush so quickly. Why aren't they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Why isn't Kiss in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Right. What is that all about, you think?
It's got to be some kind of politics.
You just made Jimmy very happy.
Yeah,
by the way.
it's been
Sabbath and
driving me nuts. The fucking bands. I mean,
Jimmy is a
Sabbath.
huge
I went to
Kiss
Sabbath's
fan.
induction, and they finally got in after all those years. But Kiss not getting in Rush, it's sickening.
What does Rush have to do at this point? It's stupid.
I think I've been talking because I've been doing the press rounds here in New York.
Yeah.
I think it's time where the music business is messed up, but it's time to start bringing in those bands that people love. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not a critics thing anymore. Like we were talking about the critics.
Mm-hmm. Right.
A lot of people love my band. A lot of people don't like my band, don't like me. But the rock and roll, if you don't have that passion, I mean, what the fuck are we doing? You know what I mean?
Right.
If you just turn it into just baking cookies and stuff like they try, okay, Kiss, still getting it done. Still. But what? Rolling Stone can't give them a cover? Why? Because Gene might say something, might make fun of Rolling Stone. That's the way it used to be, right?
Sure.
Like Bring It On, like
that was
wrestling.
rock and
you know?
roll.
That's why I got a wrestling company. It's like Bring It On. What happened to the Bring It On? What happened to the Bring It On part of rock and roll?
Yeah.
They're telling us you got to go because you got a flight. They're whispering, "Oh, you got to play."
Do I? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
my jet's waiting on.
You have to go to L.A.
We'd have you sit in for the rest of the show.
Yeah,
I'm loving
great,
this
dude.
conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Well, what track you want us to play off the new CD?
Celestial seems to be the popular one.
Okay. We'll do that from Oceania.
man.
The Smashing Pumpkins.
Thanks for having me,
Billy,
guys. I
so
appreciate
cool to
it.
have you.
Thanks,
there,
man.
I really-
Absolutely, really cool.
Like, anytime, please. I'm glad you guys reached out to me because I didn't know.
I was like, what the fuck is this about? I was bummed out
I
because
saw that. I was like, I got no problem with you guys.
yeah, I know.
That would have been hilarious if he blocked you. Fuck this Opie's negativity.
Billy has blocked you.
And it was almost negative. I was like frustrated. I'm like, come on, we've been
I believe
fans
you
of
said
you forever.
fucking lame, bro.
I did say
Fucking lame, bro.
I have to be me still.
Wow.
I was like, what is that about? You know, it goes back to something we did 10 years ago that had nothing to do with you that we don't even know. That's how weird this shit gets
Some
sometimes.
publicist thing.
Yeah, you don't have to get into it. I'm just letting you know.
I march into radio stations, right?
Yeah.
Where they won't play whatever, you
Right.
know, and I just try to go meet the guy or girl and say, "What's the deal?" And they'll go, "Do you remember back in '94 when you blanky blank?" And I'm like, "Really? That's what this problem is about?"
the competition's radio station when we were trying to do a promotion. Oh, shut up.
Right.
And you're like, "But I'm still here."
Right.
Like that makes sense if I'm not here, but I'm
Right,
still
right.
here.
Right.
I mean, you know, the politics and
No, I know.
these
I'm
businesses.
glad. I'm just glad we worked it out.
Look at the political, discourse. I mean, who doesn't get to talk? Who gets to talk? Who
Right.
knows who? Who's somebody's boy? I'm always amazed. Like if you watch like CNN or something, and they're going at it, and they get to the end, and someone's like, they're like, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
And, they go back in the green room. Oh, Bob,
Oh, yeah.
how's your golf? And
Yeah.
Yep.
it's this fake wrestling.
We've been on those shows, so
Yes.
we've seen it in person.
In the green room, you're absolutely right. They're like,
Everyone's
so,
all
what are
pals.
You working on that book? Yeah, it's going well. What publisher? Oh, yeah, I've worked with them. Yeah, they're just the best of friends. They're all drunks. Oh, my God. Everybody
drunks.
on any news day. I've gone out with the Fox News people. I've never met a bunch of drunks like the Fox News people. Boy, can they drink.
I believe in psychological terms that's called unconscious guilt.
Well, I'm right there with them, though, at the bar, so Jesus.
All right, well, my private jet is waiting.
Yes.
I just got to go
It's
to L.A.
and it's at Billy on Twitter, which I think is the most amazing thing about you,
Yeah.
that you were able to get Billy on
Great
Twitter.
Twitter name.
Well, you got to get at not Opie Radio. Or, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I tried
be able to
for
get the good one.
I tried for Opie. There's another guy out there that might have that one. Whatever. All right, E-Rock, you're going to play from there? The
Yeah, I got it.
Celestials?
The Celestials.
Yeah, I said that.
All right, E-Rock.
Come on, just play it.
Yeah, the new Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan. It was a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.